लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारो अन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृत्तश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। We are in the last verse of Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. It doesn't mean that our Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad has completed. We have more 230 kārikās to finish. Remember, kārikā is the highlight of Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. Without kārikā, Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad, if you go directly, it seems to be unexplained. No? So, Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad will get completed, but the Māṇḍūkya kārikā will continue. And according to the grace of Lord, we may complete within 2-3 years, I suppose. Okay. Now I will read the last verse of the Upanishad and we will try to understand the meaning given by Adi Shankara and also what the Upanishad says about the 3 states and the silence after the letters which follows. What is that silence? Everything is explained here. We will read that verse and we will go to the meaning. Verse number 12 of Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. Amatraha chaturtaha avyavaharyaha prapancha upashamaha shivaha advaitaha evam omkaraha atma eva samvishanti atmana atmanam ya evam veda. Once more I will read. Amatraha chaturtaha avyavaharyaha prapancha upashamaha shivaha advaitaha evam omkaraha atma eva samvishati atmana atmanam ya evam veda. Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad has a topic. Omkara. Om. It's very famous. Whoever come to India from the outside of the India, they may listen this Om from any of the person. Any spiritual seeker frequently utters Om to call somebody when they think something good or bad, when they decide something, when they reply for something, the first word what they utter is Om. Even wishing, even celebrating, any casual way of uttering something will start with Omkar. Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad has the central theme Omkaram as its topic. Om has three letters as already we saw that. We already saw that. First letter is Akara, representing the waking state and having the deity called Vaishvanara. The second letter is Ukaram, representing the Swapnavastha, the dream state, which is middle, right in the middle of these three states. And also Taijasaha, the deity which is residing in the dream state. And also the last state is represented by the letter Om, and the deity will be Prajna. When I say three different names for the deity, it doesn't mean that there are three different deities in the three different states. One single deity is presented in different names according to the states. That's all. Which is that deity is to be clearly mentioned by the Upanishad in this present verse. That deity which is under discussion has three names in three different states and represented by three different letters. Akaram, Ukaram, Makaram. All together we chant Om, Om, Om. This is the letter. Whole syllable will be like this. Now, here in this verse, it starts with the word Amatraha. We already saw half of the meaning of this verse in the verse number 7 of the Upanishad. This is verse number 12. We already saw half of the meaning or explanation in the verse number 7. Now we will complete our mission of Upanishad. Amatraha. Matra is a measure of sound. When you say matra, this is the measure, one single matra. When a cock early morning at 4 o'clock makes some sound, it alarms you. Wake up, it's ready to work, to enter into your mission, duties. Ko. Everywhere it will be universal, same like that. There are three different measures. Ko. The first ko is one matra. The measure of the first ko of the cock. The second measure is two matras. And the lengthening, the last is called three matras. Ko. This is the simplest way of explaining the voice of the cock. Now you understood that time duration of the matra in the nature is according to the cock's voice. 1, 2, 3. Ko. So it is a measure of sound. Matra. When we say amatraha, to construct the opposite word in Sanskrit, we join the letter A in the front of the word. To construct the opposite word of the matra, we just bring the word A and put in the front of the matra. So, opposite of the word matra is amatraha, which is soundless, the meaning will be. Adding the letter A towards matraha, it will become amatraha, soundless. Even though we utter Om, after uttering these three letters together in the form of Om, there is a silence following this Omkara. This is being introduced by the word amatraha. The silence which is preceded before Om, the silence which is followed by after the Om is being mentioned through the word amatraha. One need to understand. There is no name, there is no form. Something which doesn't have name or form, how can we explain? Yes, how can we explain? Which doesn't have any relationship with any of the things in the world. When there is a relationship with something, we can connect with the word. For example, this is a person. What person? It's a human being. Connected with a human being. This is what? This is a monkey. Connected with the species of monkey. There should be some relationship to employ the word. That which doesn't have any relationship with anything, that which is free from all names and forms, that which is even not the base of all these three letters. This is the soundless amatraha is not the base of all these three letters. Silence is different. The Omkara is different. Omkara is only mentioned to know the silence. So, amatraha, that soundless silence which is preceded and which is followed after and before Omkara, amatraha, the base of the entire creation, the substratum of the entire creation, which is consciousness. Amatraha, the soundless silence. I already shown you in the last class, at the end of the last class. You utter one Om, and after that there will be a gap, and again you will utter the Om. So between two Omkara, there is a gap. That gap has consciousness. That is silence, but the consciousness remains without any name and form or sound, etc., etc. It is beyond all the senses. It cannot be sensed by any of the senses. Employing any sense, you cannot explain or you cannot achieve That is why the word amatraha become more important. Soundless silence, which is, and another word for that, chaturthaha, fourth one. I have told you several times, there is no connection with all these three states for this fourth. We saw as an explanation of the waking state as the first, Vishwaha. We saw as the second state, dream state. We saw the deep sleep state as the third state. And respectively, Taijasa and Prajnaha are the deities. After these three explanations, what is followed is been told as Chaturthaha. It's only a numerical explanation, the four. There is no connection within these three states and this fourth Turiya. There is no connection. No connection. Only a numerical explanation or expression because it comes as the fourth in the explanation of Upanishad. Chaturthaha. This cha is dropped and we call it Turiyaha. The fourth one in explanation. Turiyaha. Who is in the form of consciousness. Who is in the form of eternal, infinite Brahman. That Turiyaha, is also the center, the creator, the self, the intrinsic nature of a human being, the intrinsic nature of oneself. That is why Turiyaha become more important. People may understand the fourth one, but it is not the fourth one. It is the base of every name and form. Even though there is no relationship with any name or form, just as the rope, which is the substratum for all kinds of superimpositions like snake, stick, water, etc., etc., that rope doesn't have any connection with any of these superimpositions. Similarly, the base of all superimposition is the rope. So too, the base of all kinds of these names and forms is eternal, infinite Brahman. Chaturiyaha. Then Chaturthaha, fourth in numerical expression, Avyavaharya. It should be understood clearly. Vyavaharam, worldly dealing in a simple way. Worldly dealing is called Vyavahar. Avyavaharam is the opposite word, which is not available for interactions. which is incomprehensible, which is not available, so that there is no external appearance or there is no external dealing in the world to know Brahman. That means senses are not enough to know the supreme reality. Senses will fail. They cannot understand, they cannot imagine, they cannot assume, they cannot directly perceive what to talk about any other dealing other than this. In order to deal with something, first of all, it should be available for the senses. It is not available for the senses. That is why it's called avyavaharyaha. It is not available for the senses or to deal in the external world. Prapancha upashama. Cessation of external world. Total destruction of the external world or the names and forms. The whole external world is nothing but names and forms, which are superimpositions on the reality. When we come to know the reality, they never existed, they never exist even now, they are not going to exist anymore in the future. This is called Prapancha Upashamaha. It is not that it will disappear, the whole world will disappear. No. When you know this is a rock, there is no existence of the snake in the past or in the present or in the future. Even while it appeared as a snake, there was no snake at all. Snake is something, an imagined idea inside the mind. Manaspandanam eva. The mind itself get resolved in the awakening of the knowledge, in the dawn of knowledge. The thoughts have a role only when you are ignorant about the reality. When you know I am the supreme consciousness, the thoughts doesn't have any rules. Thoughts are mere names and forms imagined in the subtle world. So, Manaspantanam also got distracted in the awakening of the knowledge about oneself. Snake, at the same time, the rope, both together cannot coexist at any point of time. When you know the rope, there is no existence of snake at all. When you know the snake, we are ignorant about the reality. This is the either way of explanation. Ignorance can only exist as long as we are indiscriminate. We are unaware of our reality. At the dawn of knowledge, a person will be free from ignorance. There will be no superimposed forms or ideas in the mind. So, no room for thoughts of names and forms are real. When there is no thoughts, there is no prapancha. There is no external world or internal world. Both are being eliminated. Elimination is not a physical activity, if when I say. Destruction is not a physical activity. Destruction is an discrimination of the reality. When you identify the rob, the second itself, the moment itself, the snake disappears. Similarly, as long as when we don't identify that it is a rope or somebody didn't inform us this is a rope, up to that the snake will have all the influence on you. Snake is a real nature. Snake is a real entity for an ignorant guy. Really speaking, there is no external presence of a snake on the rope. It's only an error, a mistaken idea. Once you understand that there is no snake externally, the rope is the only thing which exists at any point of time, that's all. That is the cessation of the snake. Similarly, once you come to know I am the intrinsic nature of supreme consciousness, I am not a human body, there is no world, something which I perceive, I am the supreme consciousness. The supreme consciousness is the substratum for the superimposition of the world. There is no such a thing called external world. This convention, this discrimination, even after this convention and the discrimination, you will perceive the world. Nothing wrong on that. You will perceive your girlfriend, you will perceive your wife, you will perceive your vessels, you will perceive your car, you will perceive the stars, trees, animals, species, your all things. Nothing wrong on that. Only thing we have to know that they never existed at any point of time, even when I perceive. Then there is no pressure to eliminate them externally or physically. When something is not existing at any point of time, how can you eliminate physically or externally? If you try to externally physically eliminate, it means that you didn't get the idea, even after listening the Guruji's words. There is no cessation to be done physically or externally. Just like brooming the room will put out all the dust and the other things. There is a physical activity to clean the room. There is a physical activity to reach some place, a driving. Like that, no activity is involved in understanding the reality. Only activity is you recognize yourself, you recognize the real entity, and you give up the superimposed mistaken identity. That giving up is called prapancha upashamaha, the cessation of external world. Shivaha, the word Shivaha is repeated by every Upanishad. Mangalakari, an auspicious understanding. I will go one step forward. Ashivam, inauspiciousness is taking the birth in the world again and again and going through pain and suffering. This is the Ashiva. This is the most inauspicious thing. Going through 84 lakhs of living beings in the world through their womb and getting birth in this world and go through suffering and pain. This is the inauspicious thing one can have in the topmost way. This is due to the cause of mistaken ideas. Any birth is a product of mistaken ideas and vasanas, impressions. Any birth, even as a police officer or even as a king, it's a birth, human birth. A human birth is due to the universal error that I am a human being. In the last birth also, we identified ourselves with the body. We identify ourselves with the body. This is the mistake what we committed for several births. So that I have a birth again right here now. So, birth being a product, there is a cause or reason for that. The impressions which are created by the mistaken ideas. When there is no mistaken ideas, there will be no birth. So, Shivaha word will represent, it is an auspicious entity because there is no mistaken ideas. That auspicious entity is not a cause for our birth again and again. That is how it becomes auspicious. Suppose after knowing this again, if we take birth, it is inauspicious. When we don't have the birth after knowing this, it is auspicious. That is why the Shiva word directly represents, Shiva word indirectly points out, it is not a cause at all for the entire world or human life or any birth. It's not a cause. It's not a cause at all. Not a cause. When it becomes the cause for our birth, it is inauspicious. That's why Shiva, which is not a cause for my human birth or my pain or suffering again and again after knowing this. The recognition, the discrimination will make me to know this is the only auspicious thing which is in this world. Because in infinite and eternal. Advaitaha, non-dual. Duality is due to misidentification. If the whole scriptures are directing, imagine, this is an imagine. Four Vedas, all other books, suppose they are directing, they are promoting the duality. Suppose it will lose its validity. Why? Duality is perceived by the visible eyes and nose and ears, etc., etc. We don't need a book to identify duality is there in this world. Duality is not to be taught because it is already known by my eyes, nose, ears, mouth. Through that, I taste a secondary thing. It means that duality exists. I get a fragrant flower, a second thing. It means duality exists. I listen a sound. It means duality exists. So that what I want to say, for teaching duality, we don't need any books or scriptures. If the four Vedas are promoting duality, means it loses its validity. Most of the people consider that Vedas are meant for doing the rituals, doing the prayers towards a deity which is sitting in the heaven. We don't need any scriptures to understand there is duality. Duality is confirmed through our human organs. There is no significant identification by the scriptures if they are promoting duality. If you are not going to say something extraordinary, then we don't consider as an important grantha, as an important scriptures. So duality is not at all the topic of any of the scriptures. This is the thing which I want to say. Duality is not the topic of Vedas. If we have mistaken that, we need to correct right now. Duality is not the topic of Vedas. Non-duality is the topic of Vedas. To reach the non-duality, there are certain things which are in the form of duality. That's all. In order to reach the second floor, I need upstairs or lift. That doesn't mean that lift and upstairs are essential to carry along with me to the entire world. No. To reach the second floor, I need a upstairs or a lift. That's all. Similarly, to make me matured and to know the reality, few things are there to be done in the dualistic way. That's all. It doesn't mean that duality is the truth and duality is being promoted by the Vedas. In the duality, devotee is separate and the devoted entity is separate and the devotion is separate. It is a big confusion. When my devoted Lord is very much away or differ from me, how can I achieve is a bigger problem. When I am going to achieve, how can I achieve? How should I modify my devotion? As a devotee, what are the things to be done? Lot of confusions are. So, Vedas are not promoting any duality. More, I will explain this topic whenever it comes in the future. For the time being, one should know that in order to teach the duality exists in the world, we don't need scriptures. My good health itself is enough to know that I have a wife who is separate from me and I perceive her. I have children who are separate from me. So, in order to teach, there are things which are existing separately from you. We don't need any scriptures. Then scriptures will lose its validity. Pramanatvam has gone. Validity will go. Because if something is teaching what is already known by our senses, there is no puduma, there is no new thing to be understood. Saravat palabhodagam, anadigatam, abhaditam, all these words indicates that in order to get a validity, the scriptures should introduce, or scriptures should reveal something which is not perceived or available for our five organs. Then only the scriptures will become pramanam, a valid means of knowledge, because it introduces something new which is beyond the organs. That is why Advaitam or Advitiyam words are very important, should be understood carefully. That which is not two, which is not separate, which is one. That's the meaning of Advaitam. There is no separate creator other than you. You are the creator. This is the reality. There is no other thing other than you in this world. All the names and forms are just superimposed ideas on the reality, which reality might be you. There is nothing exists other than my reality in this world, the consciousness, the infinite consciousness. Consciousness is not only infinite, it is eternal, never subject to any kind of destruction. Consciousness is pure. This is my intrinsic nature. I am ever pure. Whether I took bath or not, I am pure. Bath is something for the body. It's not for the pure consciousness, which is free from all kinds of bodies. So all these things are to be understood carefully. These words are to be chewed again and again, like a cow chew its food after swallowing it. Similarly, all these words are very important even if you study any other Upanishads in future. Advaitam, that which is not separate from anything. Entire creation is one. All the names and forms are just an imagined thing, an assumed, apparent reality. There is no such thing called names and forms. Advaita, like in the ocean, you may witness lot of waves. Even in the waves, you will get lot of bubbles, lot of surf. All these waves, bubbles, etc., are names and forms. The ultimate reality of all these names and forms is nothing but water. When you comes to know water is the main ingredient of waves, water is the intrinsic nature of surf, water is the ingredient, water is the intrinsic nature of bubbles. That is called Advaitam. You need not to you get united with a dog in order to become Advaitam. Once you come to know the dog never existed at any point of time, it's only a perceiving idea. Manaspandana. Manas means names and forms. As long as we don't know the reality, names and forms will be ruling us. Mind will go here and there and collect a lot of names and forms. When you come to know there is no such a thing existing in the world, then you will not go behind any names and forms. This is what the wise person used to do. Manaspandanam nischali karoti. He just make it stop, stun. There is no thoughts or ideas in his mind. He just take quiet because mind itself is not there. Mind itself get resolved. After knowing the reality, there will be no thoughts. The train of thoughts is defined as mind. When there is no thoughts, what's the point of saying a mind is there? That is why Most of the sadhus in this world respond or react from the reality, not from the mind, which they have already given up. All the perceived ideas are nothing but the fluctuation or the movement of the mind. When the mind is resolved, the entire world is not at all there. Only Advaita remains. So Advaita, non-duality, the Omkara, the Brahma. Evam, in this manner, Omkaraha, after explaining all this word and listing all this word, the Upanishad says, Omkaraha Atma Eva. Om, the word is Om, is representing the intrinsic nature of a human being. Aumkaraha Atma Eva, the self indeed is been pointed out by the word Om. All these three letters have a different role in the human being, in the human life. They are pointing different states so that these three letters representing three different states, and together they are called soundless Brahman, which is Om, which is denoted by the Om. That Om is the self of each and every living being. Not only mind, this Omkara, the self, the mind is, soundless mind is the intrinsic nature of the dog, of the bird, of the cow. Anything, that Omkara is the intrinsic nature of the entire world. That Omkara is the creator of the entire world. When you kill an animal, the creator get nullified. The creator is being vanished from that body. And you go in the church or in the temple in the evening after killing an animal and eating at afternoon. Those people doesn't have the real idea about the Lord which is pervading in each and every living bodies. Not only the living bodies, in the inert things also, in the sentient thing also. Once you come to know, everything has the capacity to command respect from you. When we don't know the reality, nothing is there in front of you as Lord or Creator. He is sitting somewhere on the top, somewhere in heaven. That is not the reality. The reality is each and every living being, each and every insentient being is nothing but Creator. As our Puja Swami Dayananda used to say, few religions says that there is nothing other than our God. There is only one God. When there is only one God, whatever devotion I keep aside in my mind, it will only go to that one God if there is no other gods. Why you want to kill me to make me believe your religion? I am praying to my Lord, and you say there is only one God who is sitting in the heaven, as though you have witnessed. Then why you want to kill me to make your religion nourished? Then there is no answer. You don't do that because it's against our relation. It's a violation of our religion. That itself is a contradiction. There is only one God who is sitting in the heaven. No other gods are there. There is only a God which my religion told me. He is only sitting in the heaven on the top of my head. No other religions are possible. When no other religions are possible, how can you disturb others to make them convinced, to make them convert to your religion? Let them believe in any Lord, and there is only one Lord. Every Lord will be connected to that Lord. They doesn't have any idea. Gaudapada Acharya clearly says in the kārikā everything. For the time being, may one know that Sarvam Evam Omkaraha Atma Eva. This Omkara is indeed the self. This self is actionless. There is no movement for this self. Atma Eva. Sambishadi, after knowing this reality about oneself, Sambishadi enters or go to the clear-cut way of life. Sambishadi Atmana Atmanam. Through his senses, mind and body, that person comes to know the reality, Atmanam. He will come to know that there is no snake, there is no such a thing called snake. Only the rope exists. Then there is no external dealings or external activities for that person. Because everything is one and the same Brahman. Only the face and the name and the form has some changes. I am not interested to hold anybody through attachment. I am practicing non-attachment. When there is a practice of non-attachment, you can witness anybody. That doesn't mean that you have to go through all these empirical world. Nothing is there. So here, one will enter into oneself. Sambishadi Atmana Atmanam. The errors and mistake has gone. There is no way of mistaking anymore in one's life. I am the consciousness, not the human body. I should not fuel my human body again and again because I don't need vasanas. After knowing this, a person will lose his interest to nourish his human body. He is interested to nourish the mind which is enlightened. It will ask the mind, who are sadhus? How can we become sadhus? There is no understanding of how can we become more grihastha. Once you come to know, slowly the person will be inclining towards the mukti margam. Sambishadi atmana atmana. After giving up all selfish action in one's life, begging the food for ourselves and for others, he will take a brilliant birth, knowing all the shastras properly, and he will come to the world of liberation. When I say a birth means, it doesn't mean that everybody will go to another birth. After getting liberation, you will live in the world with the body, and what prarabdha, what destiny has there in for this body, you will enjoy or you will suffer. Then once you give up the body, there is no taking of any human body. But for an ordinary person who is not at all having the same grip while they listen the Upanishad, this person may be interested to live an Upanishadic life, but his situations are different, so that he will be taking once more a birth and he will be inclined towards the spirituality. Not for everybody. So it is told here, Omkaraha bhavati eva samvishadi atmana atmana. By oneself he enter or he discriminate that I am not this body, I am this Brahman, ultimate and infinite. Ya evam Veda. Once who know completely like this, some Parashuri is there. What are the results? It's going to say. Yaha evam Veda. Then if a person comes to know that the Omkaraha is Prapancha Upashamaha, Amatraha, Achadurtaha, Avyavaharyaha, Shivaha, Advaitam, Paramlokaha, Agnihi, Samvishadi, Atmana Atmanam cha, Ya Evam Veda. Once a person comes to know this is how it should be understood properly, once a person comes to know there is a Palashuri, the result are different. Now I would like to read the Bhashya of this words, very important. Bhashya means that the sentences of Adi Shankara given for this verse. Amatraha, matraha yasya nasti saha amatraha. One who lack all kinds of letters are called amatraha. Omkaraha Chadurtaha Turiyaha Omkaraha Kevalam Avipradhana Abhidhana Abhideya Rupayoho Vangmanayoho Shinatva Shinatvad Apyavaharyaha Prapancha Upashamaha. Then again it continues. See, Shankara gives Amatraha means Matra Yasya Nasti. Amatra. One doesn't have any letters, they are called Amatra. But here he says that few people will be there after enlightenment, they have certain body destinies, prarabdha. So here it is explained what is meant by Amatra. Atmana eva kevala abhidhana abhideyo rupa vam manasyayoho. For the self, for the person, if he is considered, I am this human body and I have to interact with the world and I have to interact with a lot of things and I have to achieve certain things. From that, a person comes to know nothing to achieve in the world, nothing to achieve with my effort. There is only one thing to achieve with my effort, that is moksha. Then this person is called Amatraha. He will be also doing this sadhana. Atma eva kevala abhideya abhidanam abhideya karneyoho vanmanayoho. Atma, the intrinsic nature. He is the only thing which has names and which has some forms. No other things in the world have no forms or no names. So here it is told, Kevala Abhidhana Abhideyoho Rupam Abhidhana Abhideyoho Rupam Rupayoho Vanmanayoho Kshinatvad Ityartha. So the names and forms are being completely destructed mentally, not externally, because there is no external destruction for anything. Convention is something related to mind, not external. You need not to eliminate anybody to remove the duality from the world. It's only an understanding that nothing exists in this world. It's only my misconception. Kshinatvad avyavaharyaha. When there is no senses which can directly point out the Lord, senses are helpless when it comes to the knowledge of Brahman. Knowledge of Brahman can help a person by looking towards the things which are not Brahman. When you collect all not Brahman and put aside, you will see only one Brahman. This is the thing what we are studying in this which is interacting with the world after studying Vedanta. There is no Brahman to be understood or realized, so that immediately I withdraw my senses and I withdraw my lifestyle. This is called Prapancha Upashama. I will continue from here in the next class, because I want to read the entire Bhashya. It's very small paragraph for this verse. What Adi Shankara has told about this verse, we will read in the next class and we will see the explanation. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhya Shupamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshadu Parjanyah Prathivi Sasya Sharini Deshoyan Shoparahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamatav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamutachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Harihi Om